I don't think everything has yeah. Okay. What about?
Okay, we're gonna get started. I do it all. Welcome to the Bureau and welcome to TEL 91. Bye. My name is Greg Nugent, as I know many of you, but not all of you. I am the co-founder of the Bureau of General Services Queer Division, along with my partner, Donnie Jokum, and our volunteer helping us out tonight is Kevin. Please give it up for volunteers. The Bureau has been here at the center since 2014. We've been in existence since 2012. And I have some people here who've gone all the way with us.
Yes.
All the way back. Annie Lancelotto is in the house. Legend and beautiful human being. The Bureau is an independent all-volunteer queer bookstore, and our hours are Wednesdays through Sundays from 1 to 7 p.m. And then we often stay open late when we have events such as this. If you would like to be on our email list, you can sign up for that at the back of the room or on our website, which is BGSQD. Those 5 easy to remember letters. Bureau of General Services Queer Division. Before I hand the mic over to Ray, our host, I wanted to read a land acknowledgement and a call for a ceasefire in Gaza. So the Bureau acknowledges that our organization operates on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape. We encourage you to join the Bureau in signing up to make a monthly donation to the American Indian Community Houses Mannahatta Fund. The Mannahatta Fund, according to its website, is an invitation to all settlers and non-native people who wish to acknowledge the legacy of theft and genocide that comprise the history of New York City and the United States. And you can find out more at mannahattafund.org. We also want to recognize that today, April 19th, is the 196th day of Israel's genocidal campaign against the Palestinian people, funded by our tax dollars and enabled by our government's unwavering support. We hope that you will join us in calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire, an end to the siege, and an end to the occupation in order to stop the collective punishment of Palestinians and to ensure the swift delivery of desperately needed food, water, medicine, fuel, and humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. And now, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Dre Campbell, the founder of TEL. And what else? That's it. So much more.
Yay! So many things. So many things. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, thank you for waving. I love that. Hi. Yeah. Hi. Yay. Welcome. Come in, darling. Oh, I forgot. Hello, we're live streaming. We're live streaming. Hi out there in live stream land. Hello, Renee, and welcome. Speaking of legendary icons, Miss Renee is with us.
The fire hat.
Oh, she wore the fire hat. She knows. She knows what's up. So we've been doing TEL for 10 years. Yes, thank you. Wow. I was like trying to set my video up and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. The kids.
They're not kids already.
They're like, we're not kids. Don't hand me that phone. Oh boy. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Geniuses. You're a genius. That was more, okay, now we're here. We're queer. Get used to it. We're here. Welcome. Yes, okay. I'm taping myself so it's on. Oh, okay, so, welcome to Tell, a queer storytelling show, that I've been hosting and curating for 10 years. 10 years in a few months. Thank you so much. And, it's always an amazing, wonderful time. I always like to say that our little queer stories are like each one is a little patch in our big queer quilt narrative. And in my mind, I've heard so many queer stories, and they basically shape my perspective, as they should, and they should be shaping the world's perspective constantly. It's exhausting. And so we have. I'm just tired. I'm 22 years old, you guys. You think this gray hair came from? Yeah, it's from, anyway, so we have a different theme every month, and this month the theme is fire. That's right. I love this very reactive audience. It's so wonderful. We need this. Like, thank you. Queer rage and joy. Let's feel it all. Feel it all. Let's sit with it. Let's feel our feelings. Let's have it. We survived COVID. Can't believe it's been 4 years. It's a lot. So anyway, so the theme is fire, which has multiple meanings and is especially relevant today, unfortunately, for unfortunate reasons. If you haven't heard, a man lit himself on fire here in Manhattan today. Very sad, very unfortunate. The last I heard, he was still alive. And from what I read, he was an unwell person and possibly maybe a houseless person. I'm not sure. There's a lot of rumors going around, but my heart goes out to that person because that's awful and sad. So sending good thoughts to that person. So that happened today. That fire happened, and when I came up with the theme over a month ago, obviously who knows what's going to happen. There's all kinds of fire going on all over the world right now. And then I think of the queer fire, that was fire, like the positive, because we have to go to extremes, right? We have to just be like, you're so amazing, you're just a fire. You're on fire. And then there's the campfire aspect where we sit around and we tell stories around the fire. The fire keeps us warm. The warmth of the fire. And then there's the let's just burn it all down aspect of everything. And that's a good, and then there's the roof. The roof is on fire, which has been with us for a long time. It's like I have an emotional special feelings to the roof. The roof is on fire. Been screaming that in clubs since I was 22, and I'm still 22, so it hasn't been very long. You know the deal. So how's everybody feeling? It's yeah, you're feeling okay. It's like what we have our feet on the floor, on the ground. We're here. We're together. We're sharing the same air, except you should have been here. Just kidding. I love you. We love you, mean it. Whoever's watching, like one person maybe. Oh, Mark's sister, hi. How are you? We love Mark here.
Yeah.
Mark is telling a story tonight. I'm very excited. But in any case, what's he even saying? Oh, we're all here together. We're breathing the same air, except you, but you're breathing some air there too. And we have those blessings to be grateful for. We have this queer little space that we're holding. Yes. Hold this space with everything that you've got. And I want to also remind you, summer is coming up. Queer re-speech. Hold that fucking space, kids. We need to keep it queer and hold that space because they are really coming for us. Oh my God, those crazy kids. Hi, welcome, wonderful photographer. Efren Gonzalez, welcome, thank you. In any case, yes, Queer Reese Beach, who has been? Yes, Queer Reese. I'm talking about Queer Reese, where it's just a wonderful, super queer space that I feel comfortable, seen, enjoyed, love, party, everything there. And it's, you know, it's the ocean and there, thank you, bye, thank you, welcome, and farewell. Yes, so there, the Karens of the neighborhood in the beach area are starting to sort of encroach upon the queer area that has been that way for literally decades. It has a long history of like being a gay beach, being a queer beach, being like, you know, half nude, whatever, anything kind of goes, but extremely inclusive. And there has been sort of a movement, and there's just some people that live around there that are starting to call it perverted and write little articles that are sort of like, you know, targeting the beach and trying to basically eradicate that space. So I just want to, you know, there's so many things that we have to fight for right now. And that's one of them here in New York. If you want to go local, just like go and hold that space and like keep it queer, tell everybody, spread the word. You know, I myself had an experience with some of those Karens where I watched them taking pictures of naked people last summer. And I walked up to them, I asked them to stop, and they called the police on me. Thankfully, that day, the police were not violent. I mean, obviously their existence is violence, but they didn't do harm. They just were like, they came up to the people, you have to put your clothes on, whatever. But that's what they're out for. And they made a false claim against me. They said I was like touching them or harassing them or whatever, when I really just was like, you should really stop taking pictures of naked people. It's perverted, I told them. It's like, you guys are perverts. And if you send those pictures to people, it's illegal because then you're transferring porn. I just like really went, I like Butch Karen them. I went Butch Karen on them. And I was like, and another thing, I'm gonna call the manager. I went full Butch Karen. Anyway, Queer Reese, fire. Hold it. But anyway, are we ready for our first storyteller? Yes, we love queer stories. Who's our first storyteller? Oh, I have to give now it's on the camera. Our first storyteller, I'm very excited about because I've known them for, I feel like since I moved to New York. Oh, wow. You just named it. You just named it. 30 years. That's right. Okay, yes, let's give it up for like queer community, queer friendship, and you've never told a story here, but your wife has? Twice, maybe, right? Yes, a couple times, maybe more than twice. I just want to look up your little bio so I can tell the people a little bit about you. Yay. Okay. Thank you for waiting, everyone. Okay, Marg Suarez is a tinkerer, troubleshooter, and lifetime learner. By day, Marg works as a veteran union elevator mechanic in a Midtown Manhattan high-rise. By night, Marg teaches apprentices to diagnose electronic elevator controls. And on weekends, you can find Marg carting kiddo to swim lessons and birthday parties on their electric cargo trike, organizing volunteers with a community-owned Wi-Fi network, or procrastinating about home improvement projects. Who of us has not? Marg lives in Brooklyn with one beautiful spouse, one precocious 6-year-old, and 5 rescued cats. Everybody, please give it up for Marg Suarez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody for coming. Thank you, Dre, for inviting me. Thank you, BGSQD, for hosting this very valuable fixture of our community. And it's really great to hear stories and tell stories. So I am going to attempt telling you some stories, and Dre is asking for elevator stories. I have elevator stories, I definitely do. Yeah, you know, everybody's always pushing my buttons. I don't have very many more elevator jokes.
You're uplifting us.
Oh, it's such an uplifting career, you know, it's got its ups and downs. But like, how did I end up being an elevator mechanic? And I have a lot of experience and a little experience in a lot of things. And if you know me a little bit, when I tell a story, I kind of get like, I go off on tangents and, you know, maybe give you TMI. But a tangent is a line that just intersects a circle, right? So like, it's not like it's not connected. It touches and then it goes in a different direction. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, which is the kinds of tangents and trajectories that I've taken in my life and the kinds of leaps that I've taken and where they brought me, because I think a lot of times people feel stuck in what they're doing. And I know that when I felt stuck or scared to make a change and I made the change, it was scary, but when you arrive on the other side, you can look back and you know that you did it, and it helps you for the next one. So I have some words here. So I said, thanks, tangents. Okay, so childhood. My parents brought me and my older sister here when we were very young. I was an infant. And I grew up a gender non-conforming kid with an older sister and a architect dad and a chemist mom. And dad was an early riser. I think later in life, I think he must have had allergies, but he was always up at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And my mom and her whole family, they're all night owls, and they burn the midnight oil, they, you know, and so now I have traits from both of them. So I tend to wake up early and go to bed late. So I burn the candle at both ends, so to speak. And, you know, these are not my stories, but the stories of my family. My grandmother lived in Manila. She was born in 1898. And so when the Japanese soldiers came to take possession of Manila, they knocked on the door and said, please get out because we're going to burn down your house. And that happened a couple of times. And then later in life, when my grandmother was 85, just before she turned 85, her house burned down again. So there's fire definitely in my lineage. You know, she was so chill about it. She was like, yeah, God giveth and God taketh away. She was such a chill person about that. She'd been through it, right? Back to my original point. And I have a great uncle who was the youngest of the 5 brothers, half brothers of my grandmother, who I think he had OCD. Like he used to go out in the family, the atrium and sprinkle sugar for the ants so that they wouldn't starve to death. And that made the family a little mad. And he was obsessive and compulsive, so much so that when the war happened, he was I think the only one of war going age. And he ended up becoming a sharpshooter because he was so obsessive, right? So again, with the firing in my family. Yeah, so here I am, and I'm receiving a great upbringing. Education was very important to my immigrant parents. I ended up going to college, ended up landing a job as a computer programmer. I did that for 11 years, okay? So everything was going according to plan. It was great. But something happened around 1998. I did some traveling, and I went to Central America with a friend, and we ended up in a small town in the north of Nicaragua. And this is another tangent and a whole long story about how there was a love quadrangle, and my friend was like not feeling it, and so she ditched me this is the end of our trip, right? The last week of our trip, she ditched me in this tiny town at the border of Honduras. And, you know, I just went with the flow. We were visiting, we were visiting a British development worker who was a carpenter, and she was helping this construction collective that was made up of a women's construction collective, right? So as part of my tourism of this tiny podunk town, I volunteered some time and I learned how to make the iron rebar, tie the iron that goes inside the concrete. You know, I was helping them build their school for a few days. So I did that for a couple of days. It was time to leave. And the director of the school, you know, nobody in this town speaks English. So the director of the school is telling me in Spanish, you know, thanks for coming, you know, hope you had a good trip. And my Spanish was really not so great at that time. But what I did understand what she told me next, which was on the last day, I took a ride to the next town and I went to the hardware store. I found a hardware store and I bought some construction materials that I thought they needed, like some string levels and a dustpan. Like there was like one bucket, like how many buckets we walk around the block, how many 5-gallon buckets can we get from a homeless person? And there in Nicaragua, you're doing construction, you had one bucket. And I gave these supplies, you know, to Amanda, the director, and she was telling me, you know, thanks for coming. When I gave her the supplies, she said, Sirven, like, it'll do, you know, like, not that I thought I was gonna get a bigger rise, but she did tell me though, that she was appreciative of my communication. And I was like, oh, my Spanish is so bad, you know, I'm trying my best. And she said, no, I mean, not the communication with palabras, it's a communication of el alma, el corazón, you know, and that got me, you know, I really, I felt the fire and the passion in her when she said that, right? And then I went back to my desk job and everything was going back according to plan. And then there was a hurricane and then they put out a call for volunteers. And long story short, I ended up spending like a total of 6 months over there. So that was the first big leap, like to leave a salary position at a desk, you know, with benefits, tuition exemption, everything I needed, right? Why would I leave? But some paradigm shift happened in my brain when I saw what, you know, we used to call it, we had a pager we had to carry around for a week at a time, a pager rotation. And we used to call it fighting fires, like when the email would go down, like, oh, I gotta get that server back up, gotta restore that disk and bring back the backups, and you know, we're fighting fires, right? And then I went to this, I ended up organizing brigades and we went down to Nicaragua and worked there for several months. And it's different because somebody lost their house, somebody doesn't have shoes. You know, there's one bucket on the construction site. Really like did something to my brain. So I quit my job. And I thought I would move to Nicaragua, and I did. I did for several months, but I came back. And I ended up getting a job at a nonprofit that gets women ready for high-paying, high-skilled construction jobs in New York City. It's called Non-Traditional Employment for Women. And it was during the W administration, I think. It was a year-by-year grant. There was a whole whopping $1 million for the entire country to do their project. So each group got less than, like, I think we got $100,000. So that, you know, almost half of that was my salary. And I was doing outreach to unions, and to unions, employers, and helping the women with support services, helping them get placed. And through that work, I met these other unstoppable women, like these women in Nicaragua who were like working through hurricanes, working through wars, you know, and I met these women who have been advocating for women to get into construction trades since the 70s, right? And nothing much had been changing all the way. I got hooked in because I was a techie person. I didn't know much about my job. I just landed this grant administration job, and my boss was like, you'll learn it as you go. And I ended up meeting these amazing people. I was just like, oh, I'll maintain your email list or whatever. So now we're getting to the meat of the matter is that my funding got cut because during the George W. administration, they figured that $1 million was being wasted on women because after all, since the 70s, we hadn't really made much headway. So the solution to that is to take the money away, right? And so I had a choice. I could either, find a different job altogether, or I could try to fundraise myself another job, a continuation of my job, or I could go into the trades. So I ended up in the elevator trade because two of my mentors, two of these unstoppable women who were, who I was working with to build a national tradeswomen's advocacy group. So each local group was doing their work in Portland, Oregon, or in San Francisco, or New York, or in Vermont, to work together and work on policy. And these two of the women in that leadership were veteran elevator mechanics. So they said, no, don't do carpentry, do elevators, you'll really love it. And it's true. So what, 20 years later, right, I'm still doing it and getting ready to retire. I retire a little bit early so I can spend more time with the family, and my kid's 6. So that's the plan. And being a union worker is like super awesome because of the education and safety and the benefits. Yes. Let me see, I'll tell you, like, the first few days on the job, I didn't know what the heck, like, this is so different from academia, so different from a desk job, right? And I was not the first woman at my company or in my union, but there were no women when I entered. So there had been like a few that they had, and my job at non-traditional employment for women was to help recruit more women because they didn't have any left, right? Some of them stayed in the elevator industry, but they moved to the city or they moved to work for housing, and there was nobody in my union, right? So I get there, there's like maybe 3 or 4 of us who got in at the same time out of the apprenticeship maybe was 200, 300 people, and the industry was maybe 1,200 people, right? So there were like 3 women out of 1,200 people. And that was a shock. And then also the fact that I'm working, one of my first posts was at NYU Hospital Center, right? So I'm walking down the hall, I'm in my uniform, and here comes like a doctor looking person coming my way, and they're smiling and they're waving right past me. They're saying, "Good morning," and I'm like, "Good morning," but they're looking at the person behind me, right? And stuff like, you show up at I don't remember the name of the building, one of those big buildings on the Upper West Side that have like the horse carriage arena in the middle, and it's like a block wide. I show up there, I check in with the doorman. I'm there to meet the mechanic, because I'm just an apprentice. And the doorman says, "Hey, do you want to read the paper while you're waiting?" And right there on top of the desk is like the New York Times. So I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he reaches under the desk to be the Post. Like this kind of like class, it really emphasized the class distinctions, I think. And also looking at the demographics of my coworkers or the people in the industry over time, there's still really only a handful of women. I'm now a teacher at the apprenticeship school, and I have a woman in my class. I think I've had a total of maybe 4 in the, how many years have I been teaching? Like 11 or 12 years. But the demographic of the students is changing, right? So it's about opportunity, and it's about not feeling like, oh, I have to do this job because my uncle and my grandfather and my brother and my sister, my brother-in-law are doing it. It's more like people who are choosing to do it. So that's changing, and I think there's more of a acknowledgement that women can be good at it too. I had a couple more things to say about that. So I guess what the point that ties all these tangential stories together, I think, is that if you put yourself into a situation that's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable, and you stretch your comfort zone, you may find that you can do it, right? And that really opens up a lot more doors for you. I'm laughing because Annie's here and Gabriella both do a lot of work around the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, which happened in the early 1900s, right? And it's funny, some kid in my class, one of the students, he might be a full adult. He's an adult, in his 30s probably, but he was like, just a bunch of ladies sewing shirts, what does that have to do with anything? But it's, totally uninformed, right? Have to do a lot of education around this, but the safety protocols that are in place now are because of fires like disasters like that, where it's like, oh, maybe we should not lock the fire exits.
Yeah.
And hey, it took until I forgot what year, but many, many years later that there's actually a protocol for when there's a fire, what the firefighters should do in a certain mode that they can put you ever see the little light with the elevator hat? That's so that when there's a fire, the firefighters can control the elevators if they find it safe to use the elevator. So that brings me to how our job as elevator mechanics is actually a form of essential working that was not acknowledged during the pandemic. I had the ability to choose to stay home during part of the pandemic. I was home for 5.5 months, which is really great. So I could be with my family, and my child wasn't even 3 when it started, right? But the rest of my coworkers really felt like they had to work. There was no choice, right? But as essential workers, we sometimes encounter emergencies, like you get stuck in the elevator, right? God forbid the elevator malfunctions. So my job as a service mechanic is to make sure that the elevator is as safe as possible. It's not going to malfunction. But when I was new as a mechanic out on call, I would carry, back then we had a beeper or an Excel, and it would go off inevitably at 3 a.m. And I used to live in the West Village, so it's like a relief if you just have to go to Chelsea for a call, right? So I show up in Chelsea. It's a building where the elevator opens into somebody's apartment. So now I'm waking people up and chopping their apartment, and I get it in a safe position, and I open the door to reveal 2 hippie boys inside who've been, smoking and Mary Janes. And there's sometimes you get people who are freaked out. They were so lovey, they wanted to hug me. They were like, oh, thanks for letting us out, which is very different from what usually happens. Because if you arrive on the scene, but the person in the elevator has already called the fire department, then there's firefighters outside the door with their axes and jaws of life. And then you just go up in the motor room and you're able to move the elevator into position and open the doors. And then you run down the stairs to see, the people coming out of the elevator and hugging the firefighters. So that's usually what would happen. There's another good on-call story where I had to go to the New York Athletic Club because the door was not opening. And that happens. The door is a mechanical thing. It's like a door latch, it gets stuck. But the problem was that the door wasn't opening and the car was continuing to run. And it took me 45 minutes to get there for my previous call. So you can imagine the person inside the elevator is not only trapped, but just going up and down for 45 minutes. So I communicate with the person in the car, hello in there. What you want? I'm sorry about the inconvenience. It's the elevator mechanic. I'm on site. I'm gonna have to go to the motor room. I couldn't get the door open where she was. I'm gonna go to the motor room. It's gonna take me about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, you're good. I'm in the building. I'm gonna get you out. Why should I believe you? And, that was a good one, because when I finally got the passenger out, the building manager was there with tea and cookies and, whisked her away to the recovery area. Yeah, so.
Are they the one that put themselves there?
Yeah, I guess the door just stopped opening, but the controller didn't stop the car, so it wasn't her fault, but she did. Why should I? What do you want? So, yeah, so the triangle fire, let's see. So one of the things that happened to me that's notable in terms of connections, right? So I have my previous experiences and everything I've learned from those, and then I'm doing this job. And one day, back to the nature of the job, I don't really have coworkers. I do have coworkers, but we're all spread all over the place, servicing different buildings, right? So my day-to-day relationships at work are with the staff of the buildings, right? The cleaners, the engineers, the security guards. And one guy, Bobby, the HVAC guy who worked for a certain company on the 29th and 30th floor. One day, Bobby had a heart attack in one of the elevators, right? It was a crazy feeling. I don't even know if I can really describe it, but you know, they called the elevator. Someone found him collapsed in the elevator. They called the elevator down. It happened like when people get to the desks and stop going to get coffee. Like people come in at 9, they go out and get coffee, and by 10:30 they're just typing. And it must have happened like at 10:30 because no one really found him until a little bit later, and they were not able to revive him. He passed away. So I'm having a kind of horrible day because it's not just like, oh well, you know, someone passed away in the elevator and now you know, resume your day. Like he actually peed in the elevator as he was probably having his cardiac arrest. So there was like work to be done to schedule the cleaners and to secure the car from the public. And, you know, I spent half the day dealing with this, with the knowledge that one of my coworkers had passed away. And then there was some other like firefighting disasters, like the you know, firefighting as in troubleshooting, like the main very important freight car in my building acted up that day when I had like a super stressful day. And then it was so like, I had to stay late. So it's like, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night, I'm heading home. And as I'm going across to get on the train, there's a Mr. Softy truck, right? And I'm thinking, what's gonna make me feel better is to get a cone with sprinkles, a chocolate cone with sprinkles and crunchies that will make me, that will fix everything. So I order it from the dude in the truck, and he just tells me, this is my last day selling ice cream. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I don't know. I had a dream. The God said, go to the edge of the cliff and jump.
Oh, no.
So, no, I mean, not like suicidally, but like, take a leap, right? No, it's not a sad. This is a good part of the story. So, you know, and I was just like, yeah, do it, dude. Like, jump with both eyes open. And I handed my $5 bill, and he said, yeah, jump with both eyes open. And he handed me back $5. So
Oh.
that was an amazing Mr. Softy moment. So yeah, I mean, I probably tangentially rambled for a little while, and I hope you've had a little glimpse into my day-to-day. And I guess just what I want to say is like, you know, do it. Find something you love, learn. Like tomorrow I'm gonna tile our foyer. It's been 10 years. I've never done it before, but we got YouTube, and I'm ready. I'm doing it. Learn things, do things, try them, and you know, just keep following those tangents.
Very news. Yes, Mark. Mark. Yes, working class essential worker elevator repair butch out here in these streets. Yes, we love this. I've never even spoken to an elevator repair person to hear stories, let alone a queer elevator repair. I was like, Mark, why haven't I had Mark here sooner? Why? I'm just like, I want to hear just like nothing but a list of like every stuck elevator you have to go to. It's like, what happened? Why? Oh my goodness. Do you ever watch movies where there's like it's like a crazy disaster action movie, like a Die Hard, and you see like some elevator shit and you're like, that would never happen. Nah, that's not how that works. Do you do that, Mark? You like look at, you're like, nah, that's implausible. It's like, well, actually, this is how the elevator situation actually, no, there's no machine room there. I know machine room now, because Mark spoke, so. I know about the machine room. Has anyone here ever gotten stuck in an elevator?
Oh, yeah,
Three of you?
and live to tell the tale.
Yeah, wow. Have you ever gotten stuck in an elevator just independent of working?
I mean, if it's gonna malfunction, I could be inside.
You're like, excuse me, I got this. Is there an elevator repair person in the house? Yes, there
I'm
is.
strapped with you.
That's me. One time, has anyone ever been to San Francisco?
Yeah.
So I'm originally from there, from the Bay Area, and people sometimes when they visit, they'll be like, I haven't really lived there in a long time, like, but I always tell people for a little thrill, go to the Fairmont Hotel in Union Square, and they have a glass elevator that's on the outside of the building. It's like a free little fun touristy thing you can do, and it's, and it's a very tall building, so you go on up in the elevator, you can see the entire bay. You can see everything. It's really exciting, but it is floor to ceiling glass elevator, right? So it's really thrilling and really frightening. You really feel like you're just like out in the air. So the last time I went, and it is the last time, I got in the elevator. I was like, I'm gonna do this myself. I haven't done this in years, I get in and it goes all the way up. And I'm looking out and I'm like, all right, that's great. Let's wrap this up. Let's go back down now. And then it gets like stuck between floors. And it's like, of all the elevators to be stuck on, you don't want to be stuck on that like glass one on like the 60th floor looking at, you're like, I'm gonna fall and die. But so I was like, as soon as it got to the floor, I'm like, I'm going to the normal elevator. Screw this. I never want to ride that again. But it was a thrill. It had its time. Is our second storyteller ready? Yay! All right, I'm gonna read yeah. Are you ready for our second storyteller? Woo, I'm excited. Yay! Hold on, I'm gonna read a little bit about you because I love your bio. Dun, da, da, da. Yes. Klondike is an alien tragic superstar, child of a black hole and a supernova, raised by a fourth dimensional rock star, experimental musical theater composer and first winner of Cake Boys Takes the Cake competition. That's right. They are here to terrorize norms out of existence through the great unifier, music. Everybody please give it up for Klondike.
Oh, hello, howdy. My name's Klondike, like the ice cream bar, but with a Y. You know where the Y goes. I like to gesticulate, so I'm gonna put it on here and then probably take it off. Certain point. Okay, so fire, right? I love fire. I'm a fire sign. Yes. You got any Leos? Let's go. Yeah. I'm a Leo sun. I'm a Scorpio moon, and I'm an Aquarius rising. So I'm intense in different ways, and it's a lot. But being a fire sign, I didn't like dive into astrology until I was in college. I just knew I was Leo growing up, and I was like, yeah, I like lions, and I'm loud, so I feel seen. And I always had a fascination with fire. I had a very high respect for fire itself, because like one time my sister, we were at my aunt's house for dinner and we're all sitting around the table, and it was like more people than should be sitting at that table. So like we're like the kids are on the corners and there's like somebody sitting with a plate in their lap. My sister was sitting really close to a candle, and I just see her hair just go up, and she's fine. She's okay. But she went, like her hair would have inflated. So I was maybe like in late elementary school, and so I was like, and I was like this, and then I get on the ground and start rolling for no reason. And then my dad, in the time it takes me to get up, go onto the floor, start rolling profusely on the carpet. My dad just like takes some wine, puts some like wine in on a rag and just like puts her hair out. She's perfectly fine. Didn't even singe all that much. It was a small candle. But to me, this was a harrowing experience my dad went through. And I was like, fire is to be respected and feared. And then they had this lady called, I'm from Rochester, and there's this lady called Safety Sue, and she would come with this tiny house. She would, and I think she was a lesbian, because I'm like, it was like a short, kind of like Susie Orman kind of haircut, but shorter in the back. And she was like, she comes with a small house, like it'd be like maybe like that tall, but it was like a full house, and so it would be for like elementary school kids. You like crawl in, and they're like, okay, like feel the door. Is it hot? Yes. Okay, but we can't go through that door. And so, but it's like little, like you can attach to a trailer. And so I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. That all the other kids were like, we're not doing math, so I'm happy. But I was very invested. It's kind of like in Clueless when Cher is like, we need to do something, and everyone else is like, I don't care. That was very good. And so the teachers were like, we encourage you to have an evacuation plan at your house. And of course, no one else did it because they were like, ah. And I came home with my little like college rules, like composition notebook. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get the dog because I don't trust any of you to do that correctly. And I need Chippy to be the one out of this fire. He's small. He wouldn't be able to get through the window. It's a wrap. So I get Chippy. We all meet we lived on the corner. And so and I didn't realize I was the weird kid in the corner house for a long time. I was like, why is everyone acting so strange? Then it was me that was acting strange. But I was like, yeah, we all gonna go through the corner. I wanted to practice the thing. We jump out of the 2-story window by like hanging. My mom was like, no, we're not gonna practice that. Like, I'm sure that when the time comes, you got it. Or there will be an adult there to help you, 8-year-old. And so I'm like doing like barrel rolls and like tucking and doing all this stuff with my dog in my hands, like it's Mission Impossible. And then I get down to the block, I'm like huffing, and my dad and my mom and my sister are just like, it's like slowly walking outside. And I'm like, still more. So I thought that was very fire sign behavior. It was a bit too much for all involved, including me. Oh man, there was one time at not an ice cream social, but kind of like after school field day. It's like bring your parents, so the raffle prizes. It's 5th grade, hooray! And I remember this day specifically because my mom got the phone number that she has now. And I remember being like, I didn't know you could get a new phone number. What? Like, how does the government know? Like, I was like, does Verizon just have numbers they can give out? Like, I was very gagged by this. But there was a raffle for like a water bottle. It was like not a big deal, like a very small prize. Could have got it at Wegmans for like $2. But I wanted this water bottle so bad, like a neurodivergent amount of bad. Because I was just like, oh no, it's colorful and it has like, it's a good like texture. And I didn't win the raffle, and I remember having an out-of-body experience because I was so upset that I saw myself above the crowd, and I was just like, what? And my mom was just looking at me like, we can't take you nowhere. Why are you so upset about this water bottle? And I was just like, I remember like drying. Yeah. Screaming why instead of crying is a big thing in my childhood. Apparently, I was a toddler. I would just fall on the floor and scream why. I do theater.
We all need to do more of that right now.
Honestly, just what. And it's like one of those where like, toddlers, like when they're upset, just throw themselves back. Like, we're not toddlers, have something soft behind you. But I really encourage that everyone just throw yourself to the abyss. Yeah, being a fire sign is something that because my son, now we're getting into like astrology or something. My son is in his domicile, which means it's just like, it likes being there. It's like at home in that placement. So Sun in Leo is in its domicile. And so it's just like, I'm good at having a personality. Like I enjoy being a person. I don't necessarily Scorpio moon, but I don't enjoy being myself. But I enjoy the whole like, yeah, we're living. I'm excited. I'm just more curious than anything because I'm just like, what's gonna happen? I don't know. And I want to be there to find out. I'm nosy, but. And then my Venus and my Mercury are also in Leo, so yeah, slay. We'll talk afterwards. But no, having that, you understand that having my Leo presence, both of
It's
them
wild.
conjunct to my sun.
No, it's actually, yeah, I feel that. It's an insane combination to have both.
Yeah, because it's like I talk loud, like I don't even need this microphone. And I feel really hard. Like I'm like the most like, oh, like I'm sitting on the train and I like look up and it's like a cute person and we look at each other and I'm like, meet cute. We're getting married tomorrow. Like I am in love and I'm pretty sure they love me. And then, but I won't make a move at all. People think that Venus and Leo means that you're very like, oh, I'm out there, I'm very bold. It just means that I put on a good show. And now I would like to be wooed. Like I've shown you the goods, now come get it. Like no one goes to a theater show and then the play starts with the audience is still coming in. Y'all show up, then I give shots. So people will be like, oh, you must be a top and such other things that are rare. And I was like, no, I'm just loud, sweetheart. I just have a loud outfit on, but I am, and realizing that I was the bottom, that was a journey. Because I went to a type of college, it was ceremonies, and I had never heard of a trans before. I like Eddie Izzard was my favorite comedian, but I was like, I didn't know you could just dress up as the other gender as a job. I would like to do that, please. And then I went to school and I was like, I'm so bad at being a girl, yada yada. And then somebody offhandedly was like, maybe you're not one. And I was like, excuse me, what the fuck? That's an option? Yeah, then get it off me. Like, I would absolutely love to do a different gender now, please and thank you. And I think living with a Leo sun and having that just kind of like joie de vivre, I don't speak much, kind of just passion for whatever caught my eye at that second. Very much like a cat with a laser pointer, just kind of like, this is my entire life for the next 30 seconds. I lived a lot through my clothing, and I was just talking to my friend that I came with, and I was like, they were like, yeah, I don't know how you're gonna go on this trip you're going on soon, because you change outfits like 3 times a day. And I'm like, because the sun is out. Like, it is time to stunt because I feel a whiff of a different gender coming over me. So I'm like, this isn't who I am anymore. And I won't be contained by this whatever I'm wearing, poodle skirt to the bodega. This is all, and this isn't for anything important. I will put on a partner and I will be like, okay, let's go get food from the deli. And then I'll be like, okay, no problem. They put on sweatpants and a hoodie and like Crocs and they're ready to go. And then I'm like, okay, so which tie do we think goes with the Crocs that I'm gonna wear? No. Okay, we're starting all the way over. So we're wearing a caftan. And they're just like, we're going down the street. Like, why must you be this way? And I'm like, but you hate it if I stop. So, and then it's interesting having a moon in its fall, because Scorpio is very much like every planet has a sign it works really well with, one that it works like pretty good with, one that it's like, not the best, and one where it's like, we don't vibe. And I have my moon is the one where we don't vibe. So it just means, and your moon is all about like your moods and emotions and like childhood, the emotional body, all those kind of things. And so I have a Scorpio and that's just very intense. So it's like, if anyone knows the song With Arms Wide Open by Creed mixed with like Bleeding by Linkin Park, it's just like playing at the same time in my head, being like, with arms wide open, cross. And everyone's like, you're good, right? And I'm like, yes, I feel very fun and fresh. And then the Aquarius rising is just this. And then I'm like, why are people staring at me on the train? And they're like, oh, right. I look like this. On the way here, this diva was like across the way, not even like diagonal, just like right here. And was like, for like most of the trip. And I kept being like, you know what I mean? Like, and then I was like, oh, I have 8 pounds. This is me trying to do a light mug today. I remade this mouth multiple times. I wanted to do a next little, because the clown mouth is my signature. We really got away from it today. But it's all part of being a fire sign. I think all signs are cooked and undercooked. And so if you're an undercooked sign, that means like all the negative things you hear about that sign. So like Leo's like, oh, they're obnoxious and they're attention whores and they don't know how to let other people take up space and like, and then and I'm not gonna say them for the rest of those because I think it's easier for me to rag on myself than this to like go on other people's signs. But all signs have a way that they act that people associate with them that's kind of negative. I think that's when they're undercooked because like I think the Leo when they're cooked, for example, is like I want everyone to feel good about themselves the way that I feel good about myself because I don't want to be the only person in the room having a good time. That's awkward. Like I've been the person at the party who's like, is no one else gonna dance? All right, I'll do it. And now like I had a birthday party one year and everyone, I was like, you have to come in a look that makes me gasp. Because then you feel good the whole time, and it could be subtle. Because I was like, I encourage subtlety since I have none. Subtlety, chill, and earth placements. I have none of these things. So like my friend showed up and she had all like sun tattooed on one arm and all moon phases tattooed on the other. She wore a silver on the moon side of her body and gold on the sun side of her body. And I was like, that's how you be subtle and iconic and kind all at the same time. I had other things I wanted to say, and I was like, I'm not gonna write them down. I'll keep them up here in this spicy brain of mine. Yes, it was about being neurospicy. So being a Leo, a lot of like and also being AFAB, a lot of my like ADHD like symptoms and like things about autism, people were just like, oh, she's just quirky, or she just talks a lot. Whereas if I was like the boys my age were like, oh, he has ADHD. That's why he can't. It's like oh my god, there was this boy. It's so wild to have beef with a 6-year-old. I was also 6, but he would take a pencil and sharpen it, and then take it and then stab someone in the leg with it once a day, a different person every day. And we'd always be like, Brendan, why? And he'd be like, I didn't take my Ritalin. And we'd be like, I'm 6. That's a good enough answer. I don't know what's, and it's like, I was an adult before I was like, I have nothing to do with stabbing people. But one day he stabbed the wrong person and this boy Dennis, and he just like wailed on this boy. And everyone was like, oh, I don't see anything happening. Like, oh, it seems like somebody fucked around and found out. And I condone that. But my boyfriend always says violence isn't always the answer, but it is an option. We're tracking back. Spicy. Yes. So I had a lot of different personality traits that I just was like, oh yeah, maybe I'm just like a quirky person. Maybe I'm just like a Black trans Zooey Deschanel. Ooh. And then somebody like after I graduated college, muscled my way through college. And then I was like, yeah, well, you know how you read a sentence like 13 times and you still don't quite understand what it means. And they go, oh, are you dyslexic too? And I was like, what? I don't know. Is that where you can't read after the age of 13? And they were like, a little bit. And then I realized like it was like the font was getting smaller and the text was getting like more dense and like all those kind of things. And just I wasn't as invested in the reading material. And then I learned about this Calclia diva. Oh, being a pizza delivery boy in Atlanta with this Calclia, purgatory. Because they would be like, oh, dyscalculia is it's like dyslexia, but for numbers. And so it's like, they would be like, I live in apartment complex 998, and my phone number is 899-414-3311. And then I need you to come, and this is my credit card number. I'm just sitting there like, one of my first deliveries, I literally was walking around the complex being like, did anyone order pizza? I've been to 8 wrong doors, and I'm so sorry. They were just waving out their balcony like, it's me. And then I forgot the drink. I had a full SpongeBob. And then I wept, and my boss was like, go to the gas station and buy him a 2-liter. And I was like, that's such a and then he was like, yeah, we'll settle up later. And then I got back and he's like, I'm not giving you that $2. Like that was an L you took. And I was like, that is true. And now I've learned that I love this job. Because I felt really smart for doing the really simplest things. They'd be like, oh, 20% tip. Let me just do that in my head real quick. Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, boop. $4. And they'd be like, wow, that's impressive. And I'm like, because I need to know exactly how much money I'm getting at. Because it was on the edge of like a very like wealthy area, but I didn't live in that wealthy area. So we would like, I remember one time I showed up at this mansion. There was a bunch of kids being like, you want to be in my music video? And I was like, will you tip me for it, bro? And he was like, no. So I was like, then here's your pizza. I'm gonna leave before things get weirder. And then every once in a while, I'd be like a sweet older Black woman who would just be like, oh, I got $20 worth of pizza. Will this 50 be enough? And I'll be like, I think it will. I really think it will, man. Thank you so much. And I was like, I know you don't. So, and we really know I do, because this car needs to have gas for the rest of the deliveries. Wow, speaking of tangent. So yeah, all these things, as I was going through my mid-20s, a lot of what I just thought were personality traits, I started realizing were different types of neurospiciness. And at first I was like, oh God, I could have been getting all this help before and that would have been great. And now, but then I was like, well, what's done is done. First of all, can't go back. Can't really blame my parentals for not knowing how to process what their kid was about at a young age, and like was doing the best with like religious family, did the best with what they could. And then I was like, also, I'm kind of badass for doing all raw dog in life for this long. Now I have a nerve condition too, so like I get little like stinging and like nerve pains all over. And I was like, there's meds for this? I just thought people were in pain all the time. I didn't know people's toes didn't do certain things. I was very sheltered, so I'm still out here like, you can do that? I would love to. Like have agency boundaries, did I say? That was a wild time. Realizing that being a Leo means you are not great at boundaries because you in either direction. Because you're like, I just want to give you everything. And it's like, we met 2 days ago. And I'm like, but I just feel all these things. And then my therapist had to be like, feelings aren't facts. And my world was shattered. Because I was like, that makes too much sense for me to not follow him. But I don't like it though. Like I'm not fond of the fact that my entire way of thinking has to change. But now we're like, what? When did I really realize that was maybe like 22, 21, and I'll be 29 this year. So we're about almost a decade into being consciously neurospicy. And I think that like fire, I'm watching Naruto right now, it's like the Will of Fire, which is all about, it's a very nerdy anime, but which talks a lot about like political standing and all these different ways of being like, how can we remove hate from the world if we can't remove systems that create hate? And I was sitting there like, I don't know, Naruto, I'm thinking about that right now. But that kind of like will of fire, the fire to like preserve self, preserve community, preserve culture. It's so much easier to do now, knowing that my brain takes little wild neural pathways because I don't have to like fight to be some version of a normal person that can do all those things. And I'm realizing just throughout history that people that were neurospicy have so much to offer. And from like the very nuanced perspectives of the way they see the world, and it's just things like white supremacy and capitalism and like anti-blackness and like Islamophobia and all these things that are kind of keeping it like what it means to be a person so narrow. Versus we just kind of like rip that shit off. Like it would be so much easier for us to just be like, oh, I was never gonna think of it that way, but that the way you thought of it mixed with the way I thought of this thing is actually gonna help us get to somewhere new instead of just spinning our wheels. I love fire. I used to kind of set things on fire and put them out in the tub because I didn't know that people went away for spring break in college. I was like, everyone's gonna be here and we're all gonna key, and then everyone went somewhere else. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just be angsty in the bathroom and set toilet paper on fire and then get a little too nervous and then put it out. Because I was like, I can't afford any of that. But yeah, Thanks for having me here. I love talking about absolutely nothing and a little bit of something, something. I've been Klondike. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, yeah. When are you performing next?
Monday
Monday, Klondike can be seen where?
at Purgatory in Brooklyn.
Ooh, Purgatory at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, doing drag. 9 o'clock, drag show, Klondike, Purgatory. Also
Weird stuff.
doing weird stuff.
Yeah, it's called weird stuff.
Oh, it's called, ooh, I can't wait for weird stuff. Oh, will you hand me that little bag right there? I'm gonna pass it around. This is how you give us money. There's a suggested $10 donation. I'm passing it around. Give more, give less, don't give anything if you don't have it. And you out there, you can give on Venmo at BGSQD. Just put a notation that it's for Tell. We're gonna take like a 3-minute break and then we're gonna have 2 more storytellers. There's books for sale, including, I just found this amazing Transgender Heroes coloring book. Oh my God, what? Yeah. Which you can also purchase online at bgsqd.com. Stay calm, everybody. All right, we'll be back in 3 minutes with 2 more storytellers here. Yeah, we're having a 3-minute break and then we have 2 more storytellers.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, that's wild.
My mom too. She remembers like something's happening. Yeah, this is totally stuck. All the family photos.
Yeah, passing it around, yeah. You should get like comments.
Oh, thank you. I've never seen it. My stories.
Oh, yeah, I'm just. Yeah, I'm just about to say, so I can make up. I'm pretty sure I want to go, to operation. I'm not particularly.
You're like, oh, this is interesting. Let me- Very much. Every month. But then, like, something you're gonna do, I figure out, okay, it's the problem with the door, and the problem with the shoulder, and the other day, I don't know what. The lanterns that light, and it was always on. Yeah. That's just like whatever. When I like, I have to go check it out. He was still kind of elevator, yeah, before. She wrote on the other day that says what's actually gets in the ground.
And it's sort of like. Yeah.
Photograph working.
What I did was I have. Tell me.
They recently, they recently showed the documentary that.
Which was that?
Hi, I'm literally, I couldn't figure out which class I'm gonna do it because neither
Where
of
the-
us asked me to work.
Where the fun? Go with that fun.
You do, okay, the reading classes are too much. Because I have to have this right here. Oh, hello, people.
The price of fame.
Okay. I think I can do that.
Yeah, like, it's so great.
Maybe good.
Working out.
I know. I mean, I think it's a lot.
I want to call it, yeah. The marketing. And there'd be like.
I want to do something.
Yeah, I think I was hoping to do something like, but I think I would love that later. You want something?
Yeah, and another. Have that extra income. And do.
They'll carry you, and then, you know, go make the big.
And then they place you kind of, right?
Yeah, like if you went to.
Do you, I know a plumber, she's really nice, she's a mom. Like, you know this?
I might, I mean,
And my friend Patty was like a butch. Construction, she did a lot of excavator, like she drives.
okay, I just, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the serious for you.
Hey, everybody. Yay, everybody. I think we're back. Are we back?
Yeah.
Did everybody get an opportunity to donate? Give money. Because it goes to pay the artist in the bookstore and you can go online and give us $6,000 and just do it on Venmo at BGSQD. 6 to 8,000 is all per person. That's all we need. And then how's everybody doing? We're back. Woo! Yes, I love this sweet audience. What a wonderful, gentle, beautiful, kind, loving, violent, wonderful, tender audience. Rageful, joyful, beautiful, having it, owning it, living it. Fire! I said it. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. All right, I'm excited. All right, just a little intro here. Kristen Clifford is a mother, artist, and writer. She's been a main stage storyteller at The Moth. That's right. A bartender. That's also correct. Waiter, art model. Ooh, honey, doing the New York hustle. Salesperson at Victoria's Secret. Ooh, we want to hear the secret. And is now a PT associate professor at the New School, which is a fancy way of saying adjunct. Hi, we love that. Her risograph art book, Baby Love, was acquired by the Thomas J. Watson Library at the Met. Wow. Her work has been written about in Art Forum, Art in America, ArtNet, Art News, Hyper Allergic, New York Times, Chicago Tribune, and even in some right-wing websites. She lives in Queens and online at CD_Clifford. Everybody please give it up for Kristen Clifford. Yeah. My price is right. God, the children don't know that. They're not shocked. Hi, what a pleasure to be here. I'll just try to make this comfortable for myself. Marge, my dad was an electrician.
Electricians in the house.
Yes, and I thought that because he was an electrician, he had this like special quality about fire. And then when I was a teenager, when I would like drive down the street in a car, and this actually still happens to me, and forgive me because this is crazy and I know it's probably not true, but street lights go out when I drive by. Like I'm like driving and like street lights go out and I'm like, yeah, it's so powerful. And I think it's because of my dad, because he was an electrician. So this is how my mind works, just so you know. Okay. Would you rather freeze to death or burn to death?
Oh, God. Burn to death.
Okay, let's raise your hands. Freeze to death, raise your hand. Oh, a lot of freezes. Burn to death. Okay, and especially Klondike's burning to death. Okay, I hate being cold, and Klondike, I am also from upstate New York, so being from Buffalo, where we have like giant snowstorms of 10 feet of snow, and they don't even get names. Names, just regular behavior for us. But I think I hate being cold, so I think if I froze to death, you'd lose consciousness, so it wouldn't hurt, right? Like that's one of the good things. But burning, I mean, I love the sun, I love warmth, I love being naked in the sun, but I hate getting sunburned. And burning to death would be like sunburn times a million or something. So I don't know. I think it would be bad. But if you freeze, you get to keep your looks, right? And maybe if someone cared enough about you, they would keep you frozen and try to reanimate you. And oh my God, right? Remember in that movie Frozen, the dude asks for her consent before he kisses her? Oh, I really liked that. Anyways, I think I still have some like romantic notion, like child goth, that I'd rather like go out in flames, burn out than fade away. And Debbie Harry said, oh, Born in Flames, remember that great rape revenge movie? Yeah, so, oh, I also met one of my rapists at a bonfire. There's fire for you. Okay, I don't know if any of you here saw a show recently called Portals at New Discretions. It's an art show by this amazing queer feminist artist named Clarity Haynes. And it's called Portals. And most of the work is these giant oil paintings of babies crowning outside. Oh my goodness, here's her book right here.
She's doing an event with us.
She's doing an event too. Yay, Claritine. Oh my gosh, can I see if there's a, hold on. Let me see if there's a crowning in here. All right, hold on, let's see if there's a, she's at a lesbian gaze on Instagram, okay? So you have to, yes, there's, where are they? Oh, here they are. Here, this is the painting that I want to talk about.
Yes.
Okay, here, there's a couple of them here. Here's a baby like coming out. Okay, here's the baby coming out. Past the crowning. No, this is what the painting is. Okay, it's a painting. Yes. Here's another one, and it's another type one. So we're in it here. Okay, this is part of the painting I'm gonna talk about. Where you see lots of different pictures here, okay? You see lots of different crowning pictures here. Wow. See? Okay. I love that I get to do like. This makes me so happy. Look at these crowning paintings. Where's the fucking light? I can't, I'm so confused. Okay, there. There's the light for you people. Okay. It's nuanced. Okay, and I can barely see. I'm really like, I'm gonna try maybe even without my glasses. I don't even know what's best. Okay, so Portals, there's this big heart painting with tons of pictures of babies crowning. Oh my gosh, I got excited. Out of bloody vaginas. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a tear. Like there's tears in there and there's like an asshole turned inside out. And I'm like, yes, there's another tear. And I'm like, oh my God, look, there's another asshole turned inside out. Yes, Clarity, you're amazing. But when I look at these paintings, all I can think, oh my God, hold on. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Water. Fire. Fire. I need water. I don't know what happened. Hold for a second. My gosh, it comes out of a bottle into a cup even. This is fancy water. Thank you.
I'll just put it.
Thank you. Okay, so when I look at these paintings, all I can think of is Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire. Okay. Ring of Fire, according to Google, the AI version of Google also, they told me it was AI, Google, is a term used to describe the burning or stinging sensation that occurs when a baby's head becomes visible in the vaginal opening during the second stage of labor, also known as crowning. The phrase Ring of Fire comes from the circle of the baby's head as it makes the vaginal opening. The burning sensation is caused by the baby stretching the vaginal. I was in St. Vincent's and the doctors were being mean. My water broke early for my first birth. Now I was pregnant before that and I had an abortion, so that. But for my first pregnancy to term, my water broke early. And all night I thought I was peeing my pants. And I would just like get up and put a towel between my legs and then go back to sleep. And I literally did this like 4 times in the night. And I was just like, whatever, I'm just pregnant. Maybe I'm just wetting myself all night long. I have no idea. But the midwife in the morning said that I should come in, and it was Elizabeth Seton right over here on 14th Street, which in 2003 was still open. It was a separate birthing center with midwives and doulas. It was not attached to a hospital. It was the only one in New York City, and it wound up closing down later in 2003. But at that moment, I went to the midwives at Elizabeth Seton, and they said, you know, you're really early. I was 34 or something weeks. And don't worry, the baby. She was fine. 5.5 pounds, all fine. So they told me I had to go to the hospital because it was early, right? They couldn't do it because they're midwives. And I begged, they're like, okay, I'll just walk you right over to St. Vincent's. And I was like, no, let me go home first. I haven't packed. I don't have my playlist. I don't have all of this stuff that I need. So we go home, and then I'm like, oh, sweetie, we gotta get this labor going. Because it can help contraction start if you orgasm and if you're turned on. So we get home, and I'm like giving her a like long, slow girl dick blowjob. It's like really turning me on, and then she goes down on me, and everything's really good and fun, and I'm like, suck my titties. That helps with the opening up of the cervix as well. But none of that fucking worked, and we had to go to the hospital. And they had to induce me. Actually, they whatever, they fucking like threatened me and then induced me. They were like, if you don't have this baby, we're gonna kick you out or give you a C-section. And I was like, okay, fine, induce me, do whatever you want. Yes, it's horrible. But so I'm in the hospital, there's people I've never met before between my legs, on my fucking back, fucking hate these people. I'm like in labor inducing drugs, not in a hot tub with a midwife, like I thought. I was in diabolical pain. I shit everywhere, including I was standing up on the bed, literally like standing up on the bed in the hospital and like barking at the nurse because she thinks that I'm having the baby. And I'm like, I am not having a baby. I'm just taking a shit, put something underneath me. And the worst part was that I ripped open. Oh my God, I ripped open. And I'd never had stitches before, never broken a bone. So it was quite a shock to be injured and injured there. And when I finally got the courage to look weeks later, it was a huge relief to see my clitoris was still there. And in the same place. But I thought I had a womb with a view. The rumblings I'd heard from birthers, not in complete sentences even, just mumblings of never the same again. This is what they were talking about. The swollen mass of red flesh, a gaping hole where tightness had been. I swore I could see my cervix. I felt disfigured and damaged, and I didn't even cry, but I was like shaky. And I thought, this isn't happening. No one must know. I blocked out any thought or feeling below my waist. And I started wearing just like cleavage revealing clothing. I put like my milky breasts, which were nice and big, and I put them in like black lace bras and what we used to call wife beaters. I know the kids have a new name for it, but I can't remember what it is. What is the new name for it?
Call it tank top.
Oh, a tank top.
It's called a wife beater.
Okay.
Wife
A wife pleaser. I like that. Okay, so I was wearing like black lace bras with my big milky titties, and I would just like chop the thing down the front and just be like nursing my baby walking down the street. But nothing, really, nothing down here. I became obsessed with Kegel exercises. Eventually, I felt around and masturbated tentatively. And my breasts squirted milk when I came. It was so cool. I felt like I was like a teenage boy, like how fast, like how far can I shoot? Can I get it across the room? And I told this to one of my friends and they said, oh, you should try masturbating while breastfeeding. Yeah. I didn't want to miss out. So I went home and got out my mini massager and settled into a glider rocking chair with my baby at my breast, who was then 1.5 months old. And then I put in a film called Let's Be Friends. You might know it. And then, so I'm like, I'm all ready. And then the doorbell rang. And it's the FedEx guy. And I buzzed him in. But he couldn't get through the second door, which stuck. So I lived in Williamsburg at the time in one of those, old tenement buildings. And so I buzzed him in. So I went to the door in my bra and yoga pants and I signed the envelope. Oh, I put the vibrator underneath. I don't know what order I did this in. Okay, hold on a second. Let me read what I actually wrote. I buzzed him in, but he couldn't get through the second door, which sticks. So I went to the door in my bra and yoga pants and I signed for the envelope with my baby still nursing. And when the FedEx man turned to leave, I realized I still had the vibrator in this hand. Also, not my keys. And the second door had closed behind me. So I was now stuck in the vestibule with a vibrator and a baby. I rang the bells to my neighbors' apartments and no one answered. I started to cry hysterically. It was sleeting and below zero. I was barefoot and practically naked with an infant. And where could I go like that? And what the fuck was I doing? Really? Only a sick person tries to masturbate with a baby, for God's sake. And I'm locked out of the house and everyone will know what I'm doing. And then suddenly, noticing my distress, the FedEx man turns around. He rang the bell at the house next door. And my neighbor, a blue-collar father of 3, fond of revving his motorcycle at 3 a.m, he waved me over. I hid the vibrator under the rug and I ran over to his house. He settled me and my baby onto his couch with a blanket and he asked if my kitchen window was locked. I said no. He went to go break into my apartment. I looked at his kids' Crayola drawings and hoped he didn't find the vibrator, or worse yet, step on it and break it. He came back with one of my coats and asked if I wanted to finish feeding, and I mumbled, no, thank you, thank you. I was still crying. I ran home, I retrieved the dastardly vibrator, I threw it in the back of the drawer and fed my baby tenderly from the other breast, apologizing to her the whole time. I vowed never to masturbate again. But an hour later, I was already thinking like, how hot that was of my neighbor, like all taking control, saving me all night in shining armor light when I was so vulnerable. Anyways, now anytime I walk down the street and I see someone with an infant, I'm like, oh, traumatized vagina, traumatized vagina, traumatized vagina. When I had my second child, 5 years later, I tore in the same place. And my midwife sewed me up and everything seemed fine, but I definitely noticed certain changes. Like it was next to not next to, it was impossible to hold in a barge, okay? And my flatulence, my gas seemed to kind of bubble up through my labia instead of going up through my ass crack. Constipation became a painful and humiliating constant. I leaked urine when I sneezed, no matter how many Kegels I did. And it felt like the physical angle of everything having to do with evacuation and intercourse had somehow shifted in new and uncomfortable ways. 5 years later, after the birth of my second child, I started seeing a new gynecologist who listened and examined me and said, oh yeah, you've got a little rectocele in there. Right? What? You have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, right? She told me that a rectocele occurs when the muscle between the rectum down here and vagina up here gets worn and thin or damaged so that the rectum kind of pops up into the vagina. Okay? I can actually show you this if you, another time, I can bring a speculum and show you. I have done that before. It's called feminist peep show. Anyways, I was so fucking mad. Why hadn't a single fucking health professional told me anything about this the whole time over those 10 years? Nobody said a fucking thing to me. And you guys don't know what these fucking words are because fucking patriarchy and capitalism and all of that shit. Like, that's why, right? I went home and I searched for more information. The National Institute of Health says that rectoceles are common and involve a herniation of the rectum into the posterior vaginal wall. That's what I was trying to explain with my fingers over here. That results in a vaginal bulge. Women with rectoceles generally complain of perineal and vaginal pressure, obstructive defecation, constipation, or the need to splint or digitally reduce the vagina in order to effectuate a bowel movement. Splinting, digital reduction, medical terms for what I knew through anecdotal evidence and was common practice. One of my friends said that she had to insert a finger into her vagina to release stool from the rectum every time she took a shit. Another said she always pressed into her perineum when relieving herself. Another friend with a rectocele and a cystocele splints and takes tons of psyllium seed husk to stay regular. Me, the first time I was doubled over in pain, dehydrated and constipated and breastfeeding. And I took the plastic gloves out of a box of Nice and Easy hair color. And I had to dig the feces that had become trapped in this little pocket of my rectum that protruded into my vagina. I was shocked, silent, and humiliated. My gynecologist, I went to a pelvic floor specialist who told me I was not a candidate for surgery because my rectocele was small and the risks for surgery were high. She explained some different pelvic floor exercises, recommended that I eat a lot of fiber, and suggested double evacuating when urinating. This means you pee, and then you stand up, and you go like this. And then you pee again. So your bladder's completely empty. Got to make sure it gets from like one side to the other. According to the Mayo, okay, so one of the reasons is like fucking nobody uses these words, this language, okay? The New York Times has published the word rectocele once, and it was only like 3 years ago, okay? They always use these, I mean, if they talk about this at all, they say vaginal prolapse, pelvic prolapse. Prolapse means to slip or fall out of place. Erectocele is when the rectum bulges into the vagina. A cystocele is when the bladder bulges into the vagina. A urethrocoele is when your urethra bulges into the vagina. And an enterocele is when the small intestine bulges into the vagina. So basically, they're all vag bulges. And the American Society for Colon and Rectal Surgeries estimates that 40% of childbearing humans have one of these things, and most people do not know the words. And meanwhile, the pharmaceutical companies spend and make millions of dollars to keep dicks in the air. So I ask you, shouldn't we be spending some of that money to take care of birthing people's vaginas? Yes? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. When my second child was born, the midwife asked, when they were crowning, the midwife asked, like, do you want to touch? And I was like, I know I'm having a fucking baby. Leave me alone. The Ring of Fire is also, oh my God, hold on a second. Don't. Okay, the Ring of Fire is also a tectonic belt of volcanoes and earthquakes that surround most of the Pacific Ocean and has existed for over 35 million years. Seismic activity. We had a pretty sexy earthquake recently, didn't we? I was in bed, half dozing, my hand between my legs. I always wanted to have an earth-shattering orgasm. It's also a metaphor, the passion of love as a ring of fire, written by June Carter Cash and Merle Kilgore. In 2004, you know, the ring of fire. Yes, thank you. In 2004, Kilgore wanted to license the song for hemorrhoid cream. But nobody else would let him. And when he sings the song, he would dedicate the song to Preparation Aid. Vivian Cash, one of Johnny Cash's wives, said that Johnny Cash wrote it, not June and Merle. Said that Johnny wrote it and gave half credit to June because she needed the money. And Vivian Cash said, she didn't write that song any more than I did. The truth is, Johnny, I don't know why I'm doing this accent. The truth is, Johnny wrote that song while pilled up and drunk about a certain private female body part. All those years of her claiming she wrote it herself, and she probably never even knew what the song was really about. Cash's daughter, Roseanne Cash, says the song is about the transformative power of love. And that's what it has always meant to me. And that's what it will always mean to the Cash children. Yeah. At my friend John's baby shower, there was an emoji game like those, like you look at the emojis and you write down next to it what the emojis are supposed to stand for. And they're all supposed to be related to pregnancy or childbirth. And there was an emoji of fire and an emoji of a pregnant person with a pregnant belly. And I was like, ring of fire, ring of fire, ring of fire. But I did not win the game. It was said, it stood for heartburn. And I think I would rather freeze in hell. Thank you.
Wow, give it up for, I learned a lot. I learned a lot just now. Did, who already knew that? You knew some of it. Yes, so were you a med student? Your mom's a doctor, okay. Well, you're like, did your mom come home and be like, oh, Oh, that's amazing though. You must have heard some amazing stories. Okay, all right, so we're gonna give it up again for Kristen Clifford. Oh, your glasses. Hold on, I'm gonna read a little something. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm excited. What? Oh, okay, good. I'm gonna read a little bit about you. I'm very excited to have our next storyteller up. This is your first time up here, huh? Did we ever do a show together?
Yes, Ray, that's how we know.
Yeah, but did we do a full production? Or did we just do readings? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But I didn't get to end up doing the production, but I did get to see you perform, which was amazing. You're like, yes, Dre, you're getting older. Hold on. I'm gonna read a little bit about this wonderful, young, amazing person, performer, storyteller. Okay. How's everybody feeling?
Great.
Thank you.
Hey.
Come say hi again. We love you. Okay. Hold on 1 second, 1 second. My phone is doing this. I want to get your name pronounced correctly too. Leo Hailu Gourmet is is that correct?
Real close. Leo, I love
Gourmet. Leo Hailu Gourmet is a first-generation Tigrayan American, Black queer artist and advocate, and former Drake Campbell backup dog walker. True story. Living on occupied Muncie, Lenape, and Canarsie land. They begrudgingly work for nonprofits in order to do some small amount of good in this evil world and ecstatically spend their free time creating art and gathering community together. They're proud Aries. Uh-oh, more fire. Everyone say happy belated birthday. So there is literally no better theme for them. They're excited as fuck. Everybody please give it up for Leo. Our final storyteller.
Okay, so many things, so many things. One, thanks all of you wonderful performers who came before me, you were amazing. I wanted to start by just saying that, I'm gonna be reading a lot, so you should take one photo of me like looking like I'm like actually. Okay, thank you. Okay. I wanted to start by saying I've been trying a really, really long time to have a cohesive thought. It's been about 26 years. And what I've learned throughout my studies is that I can't. So bear the fuck with me, y'all. My brain's a mess, so this is gonna be a mess. And thank you, Dre. Okay, so I was born in Fresno, California, which is a Trump county, yes. And then I moved to New York City for a really, really unique reason, actually. I don't know, so, okay, I got like scammed really, really bad. I don't know if you've heard of this on the news or anything, but it was like this really, really huge privatized multi-million-dollar scamming organization. Yeah, it's called NYU Titch. When I got out of it, I went back to Fresno for a chess production. And let me tell you, being in New York City for 4 years and then coming back to my disgustingly Republican hometown was actually really great. Because I missed when white people left me alone. Nothing beats it, but segregation, you know. But as a kid, I used to really dream of like being friends with the popular white girls. I was obsessed with them. And I would like follow them around everywhere and they would treat me like shit. I was like, please be my friend. And they were like, shut up, nigger. And then, but I was secretly, I was on my Taylor Swift shit. I was like, Wednesday, I'll be living in a big old city. Sing it with me, y'all. And all you don't have to. That was great. That was great. And my African parents were like, shut up and do your maths. So anyway, I moved to New York and I met for the first time white liberals. And I was like, whoa. I was really excited because at the time I was identifying as a liberal. I didn't know a lot then. And I want to be clear when I talk about white liberals, I'm not talking about white leftists and prison abolitionists and people with brains. I'm talking about status quo white liberals, the genocide Joe white liberals, you know, yeah. But I was excited. I didn't know any better. I was like, oh my God, what are these creatures? Like, not only do these white motherfuckers not want to actively kill me, but like, they won't get the fuck off of me. I may as well have been Sasha Obama, y'all. Everyone was just crowding around me. I would walk into class looking like absolute shit to a chorus of yes, queen. Please, the skin is glowing, boo boo. I was like, okay, I can get used to this. But then I did, and I got a little too used to it. Like, anytime actual interpersonal social conflict would come up, they still acted white. And I was like, what's going on? I thought you were different. But then I quickly learned that contrary to popular belief, white liberals are still in fact white. And like the difference between, okay, this joke, y'all, it wasn't ever supposed to just be like funny to be funny, because it's really actually serious. But then after what happened today, I'm like, I don't know, so like bear with me. But I was trying to be on theme, fire. Okay, like the difference between a white liberal and a white conservative is that they're actually identical twins who agree on everything, but just have different ideas about how to do the exact same thing. It's like, say you were on fire in a public place, okay? A white liberal would stand there, pull out their phone and be like, oh my God, somebody call the cops. And a white conservative is the cop who shows up and points a gun at your burning body. Okay, shout out to Aaron Bushnell for real. It's too soon, I know, but we should never stop talking about it, actually. And let's hope and pray this genocidal occupation comes to a swift end very, very soon. Okay, so anyway. After 4 years of debunking white liberalism the hard way, I went back to Fresno to get my titties chopped off. And one day before my surgery, I went to the gym. And there were like 6 or 7 white guys in the sauna, which I'm pretty sure has something to do with fire. I don't know how you get it that hot. How else could you get it that hot? And when I went into that sauna, I just pressed so many buttons, y'all. Okay, when I went into that sauna, quite immediately with zero subtlety at all of these white men loudly groaned, got up, and left. Like they didn't even have the decency to trickle out, stagger, make a plan, 2 by 2, something. No, the message was very much, we refuse to share our sauna with you, you filthy negress. And we would like you to know that. And for a split second, there was this moment when I was kind of almost burned by that. There it is, fire. I was like, damn, I guess 7's company, but 8's a crowd? Then it hit me. I have this whole ass sauna to myself.
Yeah.
This is really nice. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I was in New York Googling like how to find a private space, how to find a silent space. I can't hear myself think. And I was like, oh my God, babe, I like it. I like racism a little. Okay. A little social distancing, you know. But I'm back in Bushwick now. I'm back in Bushwick now, and it turns out that trying to distance yourself from white people when you can't stop fucking them is sort of like it's it's sort of like playing Tetris blindfolded in a tornado while like pieces of shrapnel are just like repeatedly beating the fuck out of you. And you're like, I don't know if I've like painted the picture well enough. It's rough. It's really hard. I can't know. Like I'm just a boy running from internalized racism in a sea of white lesbians and other kinds of whites who really, a lot of them want monogamy, y'all. And it's made me realize I'm actually a part of the problem here and there. Like that doesn't help. It doesn't help. I keep seeing these memes that are like me looking for an emotionally available dyke, and then it's like one single woman in a giant field that's like a couple acres wide, you know? And it's trying to convey that none of us are looking for commitment or monogamy or communication. And then I just look around at me and all my masked friends and I'm like, is this play about us? Oh my God. We're not doing good. We're not doing good for the community right now. And I'm putting it out there. We're trying to do better. We're trying to be better. I'm in therapy. But you know, yeah, exactly. I mean, these are very racially charged words that I'm about to use, so I'm careful when I say them, but there was a point in time when I was a literal menace. I mean, I was a terror romantically. I was simply an emotional disaster for a long time before I found out about psychiatry. Which is weird because my dad is a psychiatrist. I should know about it. I mean, I probably should have known about it, but he's also a cishet man. And those are basically just statues / sperm donors. So he was never very useful. All this to say, y'all, my most traumatic experience with fire is probably being a mentally ill fire sign. I was literally in the psych ward arguing with the doctors. I was like, okay, you got me. Okay. Yes, I was playing a friendly game of tag with a semi truck in the middle of the meatpacking district at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. But are you sure I have a personality disorder? Maybe I'm mercenaries. Let's be real here. I could also attribute my madness to having a very fiery mother. She's a Gemini, y'all. I can see, yes, we have Geminis in the house. Fuck y'all. Yeah, because my mom's always trying to steal my spotlight, you know, it's really annoying. I'm like, girl, get your own. People don't talk about this enough, but one of the hardest fucking things about being a queer kid and trying to come out to your immigrant mother is you never get your moment, you know? Let me tell you something about immigrant moms. It's a very little known fact. Let's talk about it. Right, girl. Yes, Diva, they're all gay. Hear me out, y'all. They're deeply intolerant, right? Some of them, most of them. But who's always the most queer phobic?
Queer.
The closeted queer. Come on. I think the bigotry is 99.9% all the trauma of being in the closet. I mean,
That's luxury.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is basically exactly what happened when I came out, y'all. Are you ready?
Yes.
Oh, wait, first, one thing. I'm actually a gender fuck trans boy pansexual lesbian, but for the purposes Thank you. Yeah, did it? Okay. For the purposes of coming out to my mom, though, I said this. I said, Mom, I'm non-binary. And she goes, oh, what does that mean? Oh, she actually went, what does that mean? And then I was like, Well, I'm not a woman and I'm not a man. And are you ready for her response? Well, I never wanted to shave my legs or wear lipstick. I hate dresses and I find many women to be very attractive. Does that mean I have to be non-binary? I said, first of all, you're an asshole. This was my moment, and you knew that. This was supposed to be my time to shine. And now we have to spend 3 to 10 years unpacking your. This was my time to be a star, and you turned it into a trash fire. But also, yes, you are probably at least a butcher. My name is Leo Hailugermai. Thank you. I'm accepting applications for new boo. So hit my Instagram, it's just my name. You know where to find me. Okay.
And everyone who's been here tonight is tagged on Tell Queers Instagram. Tell Queers with a Z at the end. Everyone's tagged, so find them and follow them. Thank you. That was a really wonderful way to wrap up the show. Let's have all the storytellers up here to take a little bow. Elevator repair, fire signs, people in the vagina. Gay immigrant mom, non-binary. Yes, we're doing every single thing. Where we look, we'll look at everywhere. Yay, thank you. Fire, we love you. Fire. Yay, thank you. You were all beautiful and amazing and wonderful. And if you want to get more money, give it up at BGSQD and say tell, or throw some more money in here if you want. Thank you, everybody. We love you.
Good night, online audience.
That was amazing. That is